welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We are officially 1 week away from the start of the NFL Draft, and it is shaping up to be a very special draft class, especially at the quarterback position. There are lots of hungry and needy quarterback teams out there, especially with those first couple picks with the Bears, the Commanders, and the Patriots, and we have a very deep quarterback class. And today, guys, we are here to rank the top 5 quarterbacks entering Thursday's NFL Draft, going from 5 to 1. Who do we think the best in class is? Who do we think is going to get selected first, second, maybe third? We're going to have a mock draft coming up later. You don't want to miss out on that. But that's what we're here to talk about today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com. Tons of exclusive content over there that you do not want to miss out on. We've got extra analysis. We got our expert picks over there. Everything there is for you to help get through this offseason and make this upcoming college football season even more enjoyable. The same can be said, of course, for our mailing address. Check that out. Send us any of your team's gear to be featured in every single Gridiron Expert video. We want to represent your team. We want you to become a member of our GE Nation. You can do all of that, again, down in the description below. So let's not hesitate any further. We got a deep quarterback class. And I know everybody has a feeling who they feel pretty confident on who's going number 1. But what about the guys behind number 1? What about 2, 3, 4, 5? What about that? We're going to come in at number 5, and we think the 5th best quarterback in the draft is Bo Nix over at Oregon. This is a guy that really took off during his tenure with Oregon. Kind of had an up-and-down career at Auburn, transferred to Eugene, and then just had an insane run with the Ducks. Last year alone, throwing for 45 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. An absolutely ridiculous season for Bo Nix. Overall, he had 74 touchdowns and just 10 interceptions with the Ducks, with over 740 rushing yards and 20 rushing touchdowns. So 94 total touchdowns in a 2-year stint with Oregon. He completed over 71% of his passes in each of those 2 years, and even dating to his days back at Auburn, his completion percentage increased every single season. So he was a guy that, even though the stats at Auburn weren't necessarily eye-popping, he was getting better and better with each season. He's obviously a very accurate QB, as we just said, with the completion percentages, but he's really only accurate with those short intermediate routes. Does struggle a little bit with the deep balls. He's going to need a better touch if we're going deep there. So this is a guy that, again, I think is going to be probably a round 2 or 3 selection. And I think if he can get involved with a good system and a good quarterbacks coach, has the opportunity and the ability to thrive, but does need a little bit of work. Coming in at number 4, J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, the reigning national champions, led the Wolverines to a national championship. McCarthy, believe it or not, extremely young, just barely turned 21, but he's got a national championship under his belt. Pretty dang impressive. 49 touchdowns to just 11 interceptions during his career with Michigan. That includes 22 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions last season. But we got to keep in mind with McCarthy, this is a guy that wasn't asked to do much. Michigan played bully ball. They bullied you up front with the offensive line. They ran the ball extremely effectively with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, and their defense carried a lot of the weight as well. McCarthy was able to deliver when asked upon, but he really wasn't asked to do that much. Go back and look last year. Michigan was blowing team after team after team out of the water. He only had 4 games last season where he had over 250 passing yards, and 2 of those were in the first 2 games of the season when they crushed ECU and they crushed UNLV. So he didn't really have to air it out and deliver as much as Bo Nix and maybe some of the other guys that we're going to mention later in this video. He's extremely young, but he's very smart. I will give him that. High football IQ, takes very good care of the football, honestly has a very good touch on the ball as well. I see a lot of similarities between J.J. McCarthy and maybe Brock Purdy. I think that would be a relatively similar, a good comparison, I think, on the style of play that J.J. McCarthy brings to the table and maybe what his ceiling could be as well. Many don't know where he's going to go. Some see him as a first-round selection, maybe as high as in the top 10. If I were drafting, I probably would not have him until probably a round 2 selection, but we'll see what happens on draft night. Coming in at number 3, this is where things get interesting. We've got Jaden Daniels from LSU coming in at number 3. And, I think it was really tough for a lot of people. Jaden Daniels was, for some, maybe the top quarterback in the draft, if not number 1, maybe number 2. We've got him at number 3 just barely. It was really, really tough. The Heisman Trophy winner had 50 touchdowns last year, 40 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns. He's taken very good care of the ball over the course of his career. played a couple years at Arizona State, transferred to Baton Rouge to play for LSU. In 5 full seasons between the Sun Devils and the Tigers, he's thrown for just 20 interceptions. That's it. He only threw 4 interceptions last year and 7 interceptions in his entire career at LSU. He's a guy that can extend plays. His mobility is what makes him special. Over 1,100 rushing yards last year at LSU. The question, though, and the thing that I'm concerned about, is can that continue in the NFL? Can that style of play work in the NFL for Jaden Daniels? Yeah, we've seen plenty of quarterbacks out there still be able to win games and play well in the league with their mobility. Lamar Jackson has done it. Jalen Hurts has done a little bit. Cam Newton did it years ago. I'm not saying a mobile quarterback can't make it in the NFL. That's not what we're saying. But Jaden Daniels' style of play is going to have to be changed. It's going to have to be altered a little bit. He's not going to go out and rush for 1,100 yards in the National Football League. He's going to have to learn to be more of a pocket passer. He's got a great touch. He's pretty accurate. We saw that the last few years at LSU. Takes great care of the ball, but will he be able to do that and break down those NFL defenses? That's my only concern with Jaden Daniels, but he's still going to be a top 10 selection. Coming in at number 2, we've got Drake May at North Carolina. And again, that for me is like 2A and 2B. The margin between Drake May and Jaden Daniels was very, very slim. Very slim for me. And I think it's almost inevitable, more than likely, that Drake May and Jaden Daniels are probably going to go number 2 and number 3 overall. It's just a matter of what order. Who do the Commanders take? And who do the Patriots take? That's really kind of what we're looking at here. But Drake May from North Carolina, I like him a lot. 79 total touchdowns with the Tar Heels, just a 16 interceptions, so a great touchdown to interception ratio. Last year, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The year before that, though, was his best year. 38 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. 2022, to me, that's more indicative of what Drake May is and what he can be than last year. I'm not defending him solely on last year. I'm not saying that he was not to blame, but last year his offensive line was horrible. He did not have nearly the same amount of weapons as he had in 2022. His receivers had 25 drops in 2023. Stats could have been 10 times better had it not been for the lack of protection and the lack of weapons. He's got an insanely strong arm. He's extremely accurate, has completed over 63% of his passes in both of his seasons with North Carolina. The biggest thing for Drake May is he's got to take better care of the football. He's got to make better decisions. He, tries to play a little bit of hero ball. If you're under pressure, throw the ball away. Don't try to force it. Don't try to be the hero. Don't try to make something out of nothing. It's okay to throw an incompletion. It's okay to only gain 1 yard. It's okay to step out of bounds. Don't try to force the play. So his decision-making at times is a bit of a concern, but he still has one of the best arms in this quarterback draft, and I do envision him as a franchise quarterback. I do not envision Drake May being a Mitch Trubisky 2.0, as some people have said. I just don't see it. And coming in at number 1, I think it's pretty obvious. Everybody knew it. It's Caleb Williams at USC. A ridiculous athlete, as we've seen over these last few years. We saw it in that 1 year at Oklahoma. We've seen it the last 2 years at USC. He's got an insane arm. I think he has the best arm in this draft. Drake May's got a great arm. Caleb Williams has the best arm. His accuracy, even on the run, and that's what makes him special, is insane, completing over 64% of his passes in each of his years as a starter. 93 touchdowns to 14 interceptions over the course of his career. Also adds in 27 rushing touchdowns. I mean, this guy can do it all. He can stand in the pocket and deliver, chunk it 50, 60 yards down the field. He can roll out to his right and chunk it 50, 60 yards down the field on the run. He does a really good job of just about everything. He can go out. People are trying to draw comparisons to Patrick Mahomes, and maybe you go that way. I'm not going that far yet. But he is a guy that, unlike Drake May sometimes, can make something out of nothing. He's a guy that you think he's going to get sacked, he finds his way out of it, and then delivers a beautiful strike for a 40-yard gain or a touchdown, whatever it may be. He can do that. But he does have to be careful to not always play hero ball. Last year, not the best year for Caleb Williams. 20 fumbles over the course of his career, 10 of those coming last year. He holds on to the ball a little bit too long. Sometimes an ability to make something out of nothing can come back and bite you. Like we said with Drake May, just throw the ball away. Throw it into the dirt. It doesn't always have to be a highlight reel play. And that's something that Caleb Williams is going to have to learn. Get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. In the NFL, you're going to have less time to throw. We see that now. The pocket collapses 10 times quicker than it does in college. You've got to get rid of the ball a lot faster. Cannot hold on to it that long. You're going to lead to fumbles. You're going to lead to interceptions. You're going to lead to sacks. You're going to lead to putting your team in bad situations. And the final thing with Caleb Williams, we're hitting pros and cons here on all these quarterbacks, it's leadership. We've seen it time and time again with multiple quarterbacks over the course of history, and we're kind of seeing it now. Caleb Williams, maybe a bit of a diva. Can he win over a locker room? Can he be that guy to lead, more than likely, the Chicago Bears? Can he win over his teammates? Can he gain their respect? He's a great athlete. That's great, but you've got to be able to be a leader. You've got to be able to deliver. I'm not saying he wasn't that at USC, but we've got to see, I think, a maturity come along in Caleb Williams. We've got to see a more mature leader that can lead the Chicago Bears back to prominence, where that franchise ultimately deserves to be. So that's the biggest concern I have for Caleb Williams is hero ball and leadership. But from a pure athletic standpoint, he is the best quarterback in the draft, and he will be the number 1 overall pick in next Thursday's draft. And we'll, of course, have a mock draft coming your way very, very soon. But do not be surprised when Caleb Williams is selected first by us, and do not be surprised when they're selected first by the Chicago Bears. So, guys, there you go. The top 5 quarterbacks in the draft. Leave your comments down below. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? We want to hear from you. We're going to have plenty more positional breakdowns coming over the next few days. Tons of draft coverage over this next week, so do not miss out on that. But until then, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. Our website, thegridironexpert.com. Do not miss out on that. Our mailing address is there as well. We've got tons of exclusive content there for you to become a member of our GE Nation. So go check it out. Again, everything right down in the description below. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.